The princess who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photographers.
Princess Diana, one of the most iconic and beloved figures of the 20th century, met her untimely death in a fatal car accident on the eventful night of August 31st, 1997 in Paris. Her life was cut short in a most terrifying way as she desperately tried to evade a crowd of photographers in pursuit. That same night, a BAE 146 aircraft from the Royal Squadron hurriedly returned the princess's body to the United Kingdom, escorted by the Prince of Wales and the princess's elder sisters. The death of Diana and the instant embalming that followed will keep shocking the world to its core. But while the world grieves, several theories concerning her death are emerging, which makes us wonder, was Diana's death really just an accident? Or is there a dark and hidden truth beneath the surface? In today's video, we will delve into several conspiracies surrounding Diana's death, her clandestine affair with Egyptian Prince Dodi Fayed, the involvement of British Secret Service, MI6, as well as the strange lightning that appeared just before the crash. Princess Diana's life appeared to change course in the summer of 1997. She was no longer just a regal figure, she was a worldwide humanitarian, a mother of 2 sons, and a lady in love. Yes, after her stormy marriage and divorce with Prince Charles, Diana was romantically involved with Dodi Fayed, the son of Egyptian millionaire Mohammed Al Fayed. Their brief but passionate relationship drew a lot of attention in European tabloids. They met several times, most notably during that fatal summer spent aboard Dodi's boat on the French Riviera. The paparazzi, always on the lookout for the next big story, followed their every move, taking photographs that would grace magazine covers for weeks. As rumors about their love relationship spread, worries about where it might lead began to emerge. Could Diana, the people's princess, marry into the Al Fayed family, one of the world's wealthiest and most notorious families? The thought of this itself was intriguing. The public was attracted not just by the romance, but also by what this union could represent. Would Diana, the former wife of the future King of England, marry the son of an Egyptian billionaire? It was an idea that alarmed traditionalists and captivated the media. Even while the cameras continued to flash, Diana and Dodi appeared to be living in their own bubble, trying to enjoy their time together despite the turmoil that was all around them. By the time August came by, both of them had become love-struck. However, it wasn't just the news of their affair that caught everyone's attention. It was the whispers that Princess Diana had possibly taken in for Dodi. That possibility alone spread like wildfire. Several witnesses from their French Riviera vacation claimed to have observed signs that Diana might be pregnant. Witnesses reported seeing what they described as a slight baby bump while she lounged in a swimsuit. Some tabloids even published side-by-side photos of her previous vacations, comparing her figure and increasing the pregnancy rumors even more. To those looking from the outside, it seemed plausible. After all, Diana had been open about her desire for more children. Could this be a sign that she was about to start a new chapter of her life, one where she would raise a child with Dodi? It wasn't just the media alone that was pushing the theory. This rumor was made more compelling by the fact that Diana had made mention of an imminent big news, according to the former director of security at the Ritz Hotel, where Diana and Dodi had spent prior to the fateful crash. This suggested only one thing to many: the potential for a royal baby. Diana's close friend Rosa Monckton joined the conversation as well. Only a few weeks before Diana's death, both ladies had gone on a vacation, and in subsequent interviews, Monckton stated that Diana had confessed her desire for another child. Even though there was no hard evidence to support this, it did heighten the stakes because Monckton was one of Diana's closest confidants. What sparked doubts in the days that followed Diana's passing, though, was the French authorities' decision to embalm Diana's remains right away. It was an odd move, leading to a lot of misunderstandings. A lot of conspiracy theorists suggested that this expeditious embalming was an intentional attempt to conceal the signs of a pregnancy. Others, however, believed that something worse was happening behind the scenes, and that this was not just a routine process. Some noted that because some hormone indicators could not have been discernible, embalming so soon after death could hide any obvious symptoms of pregnancy. This was all the evidence needed for the rumors to gain more grounds. Several heartbreaks were added to the already tragic accident when it became clear that Diana could have been carrying Dodi's pregnancy. One thing was certain, though: despite all the circulating rumors, official investigators and the British royal family quickly put an end to any discussion of Diana's pregnancy. They maintained that there was no proof to back up the theory and categorically disputed any such accusations. However, this naturally led to further questions for many conspiracy theorists. Why did the authorities discredit the possibility in such a haste? Is there something else they were hiding? After working on the case, forensic scientist Angela Gallup wrote a thorough description of the investigation for her book When the Dogs Don't Bark, which helped to throw some light on the matter. Gallup said that tests on Diana's blood samples had revealed no evidence of pregnancy hormones. Her research was so extensive, in fact, that it appeared as though the speculations had finally been put to rest. Other professionals engaged in the inquiry, such as the coroner who carried out Diana's autopsy, supported Gallup's findings. He too attested to the lack of pregnancy-related evidence, saying that the rumors had been extensively examined and definitively false. However, despite this official pronouncements and scientific results, the speculations persisted. Many individuals found the thought that Diana may have been pregnant too interesting to dismiss so quickly. Some cited the embalming as proof of a cover-up, while others said that some aspects of the collision and its aftermath did not line up. It was an idea that refused to die, fueled by a profound conviction that the true story of Diana's death had never been shared. On the night of Princess Diana's death, she was in the company of one other person aside from Dodi Al-Fayed. This person was identified as Henry Paul, the driver of the Mercedes-Benz Princess Diana was in. Henry was not only a driver, he was also the deputy director of security at Mohammed Al-Fayed's hotel, the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Following a meal at the Ritz on the tragic August 31st, 1997, Paul had received an unexpected call to take Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed away from the crowd of paparazzi outside the hotel. But it appears there's more to Paul's role in the matter than just his profession. Many would say his name has become intertwined in the web of conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's death. Unlike the typical image of a driver, Henry Paul's life, especially in the days leading up to that night, was scrutinized thoroughly, leaving behind a trace of questions unattended to. He had been working with Mohammed Al-Fayed's security team for years and was trusted with high-profile clients like Diana. Yet the night he stepped into that black Mercedes-Benz S280, his decisions would be examined endlessly, from why he took that specific route to how much control he had over the events that unfolded. Although Henry Paul was the driver of the ominous vehicle, many people believe he had more hand in the crash than just steering the wheels. One of the first things to come to light during later investigations was Henry Paul's health condition at the time of the incident. In addition to having evidence of prescription medicines in his system, the toxicology analysis showed that his blood alcohol content was 3 times the French legal limit for driving. The official storyline soon established Paul's drunken state as the primary cause of the disaster, and French investigators said that his poor decision was the reason for the high-speed collision in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. The findings seemed straightforward on paper, but they raised several red flags. Why was Paul, a professional with years of experience handling security for elite clientele, allegedly so drunk while on duty? Furthermore, the combination of alcohol and prescription drugs was unusual, especially for someone entrusted with such a high-stakes responsibility. These findings would become central to both official reports and conspiracy theories alike. Contrary to these reports, CCTV footages from the Ritz Hotel that captured Paul's movements before he took the wheel says something different. While the toxicology report suggested a dangerously intoxicated individual, the footage told a different story. Paul seemed calm, composed, and fully aware of himself in the hotel lobby, a far cry from what you might expect from someone with 3 times the legal alcohol limit in their system. To many, this inconsistency was suspicious. How could he appear so sober on camera, yet be deemed heavily intoxicated by toxicology tests? Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi's father, did not take long to start expressing his own doubts about the results. Al-Fayed expressed that the accident that claimed the lives of his son and Princess Diana was more than just a regrettable mishap brought on by a drunk driver. He believed Henry Paul was an informant, a pawn in a larger, bigger scheme hatched by the British or French secret agencies to eliminate Diana and Dodi. According to Al-Fayed's assumptions, Diana posed a threat to the British monarchy, so the fact that she was seeing Dodi Fayed, a Muslim and an Egyptian whom she was possibly pregnant for, was a serious blow to the monarchy's reputation. Al-Fayed believed that Paul was only the inside man, someone who was brought in to assist, plan the incident that would terminate their life. However, by the time Operation Padje, a 3-year investigation, and other officials came out with their reports, no reliable connection was discovered between Henry Paul and intelligence agencies. According to their ruling, Paul's drunken state and the paparazzi's unrelenting pursuit were the primary causes of the sad tragedy. Conspiracy theorists continue to focus on Paul's strange financial transactions and inconsistent conduct as major sources of the discrepancy. These concerns were further stoked by CCTV footages that appeared to show Paul sober, in sharp contrast to the toxicological findings. Was it possible that the toxicology results were tampered with to frame Paul as a scapegoat? After all, if Paul were indeed an informant, any trace of wrongdoing on his part would conveniently shift the blame away from a more orchestrated plot. These suspicions were not exclusive to Al-Fayed. Conspiracy theorists immediately embraced the explanation that Paul was associated with intelligence agencies, citing his allegedly bloated bank account as evidence of secret payments. Paul's salary from the Ritz was not very high, but before the catastrophe, his bank statements showed he'd received much more money than was ordinary. For some others, this was clear evidence of misdemeanor. They argued Paul was put up to deflect attention from a more sinister plot, because the drunk driver scenario was just too convenient. But irrespective of these assumptions, investigations by the governments of France and Britain concluded that Al-Fayed's claims were baseless. This is where conspiracy theories gain momentum. When official narratives leave room for doubt, particularly with discrepancies like the one between Paul's behavior on camera and the toxicology findings. While the official investigations worked hard to dismiss these claims, the idea that Henry Paul was more than just a driver continued to intrigue many. Whether Paul was a mole, a victim of circumstance, or just someone who made terrible choices that evening, his role in Diana's death is still one of the crash's most contentious parts. From the first day Princess Diana became an international figure, the paparazzi had become part and parcel of her daily routine. Every step she took was captured by their cameras, which recorded both her royal responsibilities and her moments of weakness. Diana had spoken candidly about how oppressive it was to live under such close observation, as she had grown weary of this ongoing intrusion. When Diana and Dodi Fayed tried to exit the Ritz Hotel in Paris on August 31st, 1997, the paparazzi were again on their trail. In an attempt to escape the cameras, driver Henry Paul took another route out of the hotel, but even that wasn't enough to keep the cameras out. With several motorcycles and cars following them, the chase became dangerous. The black Mercedes-Benz S280 raced through the streets of Paris in an attempt to avoid the pursuing photographers. The situation became increasingly serious as they neared the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Paul was reportedly speeding to get away from the intense pursuit of the paparazzi. Photographers were eager to get close-ups of Diana and Dodi because they knew that these images would fetch enormous amounts of money. But their pursuit, which was intended to snap the latest headline-worthy shot, would end the royals in mugshots instead. The role of the paparazzi was scrutinized closely in the immediate aftermath of the disaster. Witnesses said that rather than offering assistance, several photographers who were following the black Mercedes after it collided with the 13th pillar inside the tunnel kept taking shots. Their acts alarmed the public and led to more speculations that their behavior was a direct cause of the mishap. The idea that they had focused on getting a picture rather than offering help to the dying princess ignited worldwide outrage. Because of their participation in the high-speed chase, some of the photographers were arrested by French police and investigated for manslaughter. Regarding their actions before the collision and at the site, 7 photographers were legally prosecuted and interrogated. As Diana's death was linked to the media frenzy that had surrounded her during her life, the paparazzi's role became one of the tragedy's most contentious aspects. All allegations against the photographers were, however, withdrawn in 2002. According to French investigators, the pursuit by the paparazzi was not directly linked to the deadly incident. Despite this legal conclusion, the court of public opinion remained divided. These photographers were continually blamed by many for putting undue pressure on the driver, which contributed to the haphazard driving that led to the crash. The fact that they stood by, snapping photos while Diana lay dying in the wreckage, only deepened the public's disdain for their role in the tragedy. One detail that stands out among the numerous unanswered questions about the events of that night is the strange story surrounding the white Fiat Uno. Witnesses and investigators discovered hints of white paint on the Mercedes debris, indicating a potential collision with another car before hitting the tunnel's pillar. Despite thorough investigations, authorities never found the white Fiat Uno or its driver, leaving a significant void in the official description of the events. This tiny, seemingly unimportant car turned out to be one of the most baffling factors in the accident. There has been much speculation by conspiracy theorists regarding the driver's identity, with some proposing that the car's involvement in the crash could indicate something darker. One of the most enduring theories revolves around James Anderson, a French paparazzo famous for taking images of prominent individuals like Diana. His ownership of a white Fiat Uno made people suspect that Anderson might have played a part in the accident that night. But the connection between Anderson and the Fiat is still based on assumptions. According to his testimony, his car was not in good shape, and he had already sold it before the accident. Therefore, it was unlikely to be his car that was in the crash. Moreover, despite being far from the accident scene, Anderson was still implicated in the incident by conspiracy theorists. In an unexpected turn of events, James Anderson was discovered dead in May 2000, just 3 years after Diana's passing. Officially ruled as a suicide, his burnt body was found in a car that had been set on fire in the French countryside. Nevertheless, skeptics regarded his death as questionable and connected it to the numerous unresolved inquiries related to Diana's crash. Could Anderson have had more information about the accident than he revealed? Was his death possibly orchestrated to hide the true events of that night in Paris? The fact that the Fiat Uno went missing, its driver unidentified, and Anderson's death are all elements that heighten our curiosity about the circumstances leading to Diana's tragic death. So even years after Diana's passing, the unknown involvement of the paparazzi and the white Fiat Uno remains a source of speculation and theories. Did their dedication to their work cause a series of events that resulted in the world losing one of its most adored icons, or were they simply carrying out their duties? The haunting images of that night will continue to be in our memory forever, and the mystery surrounding the paparazzi's role continues to fuel unanswered questions. The Mercedes-Benz S280 that transported Princess Diana, Dodi Fayed, and Henry Paul to their tragic end was not an ordinary luxury vehicle. Many people think that the vehicle's troubled past may have been a major factor in the crash. This wasn't simply a luxurious, high-priced car fresh off the showroom. It had been taken and reconstructed, causing chaos as it was an expired car. After it was stolen, the car was repaired and put back into use. However, sources suggest it might not have been completely restored to its original state. There were reports of the car being driven dangerously in the months before the accident occurred. In spite of having mechanical problems such as faulty brakes and a malfunctioning steering system, both of which are critical to safe driving, the vehicle was still being used to transport Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed. This was seen as a very big anomaly. In addition to the significant mechanical issues in the Mercedes, the tires were also worn out, which may have played a role in causing the accident. Many people were surprised by this discovery, since it was unexpected for a car in such bad shape to be used to transport someone as important as Diana. The situation could have been made worse by mechanical issues in the car as Henry Paul raced through the streets of Paris. The car is said to have been going as fast as 65 miles per hour, 104 kilometers per hour, when it drove into the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, a speed that would have been dangerous even in regular circumstances. However, with faulty brakes, steering problems, and worn-out tires, driving at this speed was a recipe for doom. The tunnel was risky for fast driving due to its tight lanes and sharp turns, and the car's faulty mechanical systems exacerbated the situation. Even a highly experienced driver would have found it difficult to remain in control in such circumstances, especially if they had been drinking. Some experts believe that the car's brake and steering malfunctions played a significant role in causing the crash. The car couldn't withstand the intense requirements that night, and it wasn't designed for the fast moves Henry Paul made to avoid the paparazzi. The car was provided by the Ritz Hotel, which is owned by Mohammed Al Fayed, the place where Diana and Dodi spent their last evening. After the accident, the hotel was severely reprimanded for their negligence. Many people were wondering why a faulty car was selected for important guests like Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed, given the increased security worries. Certain theorists claim that the selection of the defective Mercedes was not a coincidence. They theorized that the car's documented problems were part of a bigger plan to guarantee the crash happened. Despite official investigations discrediting this possibility, the existence of such a troublesome vehicle has only heightened the doubts surrounding the events of that night. The bad state of the car, Henry Paul's impaired condition, and the high-speed chase appeared to be creating a scenario for a tragedy that some believe could have been prevented. One of the most fascinating theories about Diana's death is the flash of a strange white light just before the accident. Several people who were present, such as motorcycle rider Francois Listra and a taxi driver in the vicinity, remembered witnessing a bright white light just before the vehicle crashed into the tunnel's 13th pillar. This occurrence has led to the belief that the sudden white light was intentional. Certain conspiracy theorists claim that the flash was intentionally designed to confuse Henry Paul, resulting in him losing control of the vehicle. One theory that is talked about extensively suggests that the flash was triggered by a flash gun similar to those used in the military, which has the ability to emit a light of such intensity that it can temporarily hinder and confuse its intended target. In this situation, Henry Paul would have experienced a temporary loss of sight, causing him to veer off course and collide the Mercedes. At the core of this theory is the assertion that Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed were killed by the British Secret Service, MI6, and Mohammed Al Fayed has been one of the most outspoken promoters of this theory. Al Fayed has proposed that the bright white light was a component of a meticulously orchestrated scheme by MI6 to murder Diana and Dodi. He has claimed that the British government, possibly with consent from senior members of the monarchy, planned the accident to silence Diana permanently, as she was a vocal opponent of many establishment policies, including their roles in global conflicts. A memo from ex-MI6 officer Richard Tomlinson claimed that a flash of light to confuse a driver was considered by MI6 as a way to assassinate Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic. This has been a key piece of evidence for Al Fayed and other conspiracy theorists. Although the official investigators remained unmoved by this testimony, it offered sufficient circumstantial evidence for conspiracy theorists to suggest that the same tactic was employed to target Diana. Both French and British authorities have thoroughly investigated the theory that MI6 was responsible for orchestrating the crash. The Operation Paget report, carried out by the Metropolitan Police Service in the UK, looked into the claims, such as the white flash theory and the alleged MI6 participation. The investigation uncovered no believable proof to back up these allegations, reassuring that the collision was an unfortunate incident resulting from a combination of factors, such as Henry Paul's drunkenness, the paparazzi's chase, and the vehicle's excessive speed. Additionally, the bright white light witnesses reported seeing has been identified as coming from camera flashes of the paparazzi, who were following closely behind the car as it entered the tunnel. Investigators have noted that the disorderly situation, along with the surprise and disorientation right after, may have caused witnesses to misunderstand what they observed. Even though the official inquiry into Princess Diana's death has been concluded for many years, the many conspiracy theories that arose afterwards are still widely believed. Many people have accepted the idea that Diana's death was caused by a tragic accident involving Henry Paul's drunkenness, the Mercedes' poor condition, and the aggressive behavior of the paparazzi, although not everyone agrees. For others, the differences in the official reports, the involvement of prominent forces such as MI6, and the peculiar conditions surrounding the accident is a precursor that there may be some other sinister causes to the accident than what meets our eyes.